Yeah, Amy, so tell us a little bit.
So I'm a scientist by training.
Okay.
I used to teach microbiology at Sac State, and I would always have these ideas about interesting bacteria and viruses, right? That would make good stories. So I write science-themed thriller novels in the style of Michael Crichton,
Okay.
who's known for Jurassic Park, which is the most perfect example of that type of book ever written, as far as I'm concerned, because the science in Jurassic Park is so real that you pretty much have to have a PhD to figure out why we don't clone dinosaurs from amber. Right? It's just such a great idea. So that's what I'm striving for, is that level of scientific sophistication in my books, but with great stories that, where things go horribly wrong and there's chaos and death, and they're thriller novels.
Right.
So
Good
they're,
stuff.
they're
Yeah, I
page
see a movie
turners.
coming out,
I know. Me too.
That's right. So I have 2 books out and one coming in September. They're all science-themed thrillers. The first book I had out is called Petro Plague, and it's set in Los Angeles. And it's a story about a young scientist who accidentally contributes to the creation of some bacteria that break down gasoline. And they eat the hydrocarbons in gasoline and turn it into vinegar. And these bacteria get into the fuel supply, paralyze the city, mayhem results, and so you have a thriller novel called Petro Plague.
So, but how did you develop the story?
Well, I had this idea. The idea comes first for me.
Okay.
Usually it's a little scientific idea or a microorganism that I think is super interesting. Some people, when they write, they start with a character idea. Some people start with an inspiration of a place. For me, it's usually this technical idea, and then I have to create a story around it.
Yeah.
So it becomes a many-phased iteration of effort, to try to create characters and story around this idea. And typically, my books have gone through lots of iterations as I write, throw away, start over, write.
Right.
So I do try to work from an outline of sorts, at least. A lot of writers work from outlines. Some work just by starting to write and seeing where it goes. I tend to outline because I like to know at least what the key points of my plots are going to be before I finish. And so, I start with the science idea, create a story around it, and I try always to keep the science within. It doesn't necessarily need to be factual all the way, but it needs to be plausible and believable, and not break any of the fundamental rules of the universe too much. And that's what my mission is as a writer, is to do that in my fiction, because I do come at it as a scientist, and it drives me crazy, particularly in movies. Books tend to be a little bit better with their scientific accuracy, but movies, they'll do anything and call it science, and it makes me batty. So I don't want to be a part of that problem. And then I also do some science journalism as well. So again, people in the group do a lot of different types of writing. So I write a monthly science column for Inside Sacramento, which some of you may get in your neighborhood, Inside East Sacramento, Inside Land Park, and all those. So science is the common theme to what I write, whether it's fiction or nonfiction.
So for writing one of your books, basically about how long does it take you to write it from start to finish?
Well, it keeps changing.
Right.
So my first novel, I wrote the first draft in 1995, and then I didn't work on it for about 10 years, and then I wrote it several times, and that just sort of went into the drawer. So that took a long time. But then the next book I probably wrote in about 3 years. The third book, well, depending on counting, the next one, I would say it takes me about 3 years to write a book, which is too long. But I'm hoping now, with the way that I'm becoming more skilled at my craft and a little more focused in my writing, that I'm hoping to start doing one a year.